Hello and welcome to Ideagen TV. Today we are happy to present episode 4 of Ideagen TV Hollywood with guest host Steven James Tingus. Steven, welcome.
Thank you, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Steven?
Good. Still in lockdown, but that's okay.
Absolutely. Well, we are so excited to have you here and cannot wait to hear the insight that your guest brings. And so with that, I will let you take it away and introduce your guest for today's episode, Steven.
Thank you. Well, today, to our viewers, we have a special guest. His name is Kurt Yeager. Kurt Yeager is an actor, very acclaimed on TV, and he is a amputee below the knee, but like myself, we don't let our challenges control our lives. We really work hard here in the industry to ensure full inclusion for everyone. So I'd like to introduce Kurt Yeager.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Kurt. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing?
Hey, great. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
How's everything in Vancouver?
It's good. I'm in quarantine right now, as the law prescribes. We have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. So you can't leave your hotel room. Like there's nowhere to go. You have the
Right.
wall there and the wall there.
Yeah.
But they bring food, they bring stuff, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Time to study.
Yeah, that's good. That gives you time to get off script, right?
Right? I hope so. If not, I'll be like, hey, my line is this. Oh, acting.
Exactly. Hey, thank you for joining us today. So, Kurt, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how did you get into acting? And not only acting, you're an athlete. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, the Cliff Note version is I rode BMX professionally in the X Games for about 14 years. So, flips over, 30-foot jumps, stuff like that. And then transitioned into acting while I was figuring out kind of what the next stage in life was because my body had been beaten up pretty bad even before losing my leg in a bad motorcycle accident. But acting really inspired me because it was a way to express an emotional awareness and increase my emotional, I don't know, my EQ. And it's sort of like, I guess, like a psychological session. Like you get to figure out who people are and what they're about, and that just became like something I had to do. Is fascinating, and to be able to portray that on camera well is. It's a lot of work, but it's really pleasurable, and I think it's just been a great transition for me overall. So it's been good. Acting's great.
Tell us a little bit about your acting credits. Obviously, you're well accomplished on TV and film, but I think the TV work has been pretty groundbreaking. Tell us about some of your TV experience.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been in a bunch of shows. There's so many. It's like from Sons of Anarchy. I think I'm the only actor to be in all three NCIS franchises playing a different character. There may be one or two others, I don't know, but being a different character. Um, Another Life is a show I'm shooting right now in Vancouver for Netflix. I just came off LA's Finest, which is Spectrum TV and Fox, which still hasn't aired yet, so it's about to. Uh, Tell Me a Story, The Village on NBC. Another 10, 15 shows.
Right.
Yeah, features is weird. Like, it's not that you do one or the other. It's just I'm doing so much television that there's no time for me to take 5 months off and do full features normally, even though I just did the feature film, The Festival, which is a comedy, and we
Right,
shot that in the UK. So that was great, but it was still, 5.5 months.
right.
Yeah, I don't know what's better. Is it better to have one film credit a year on yours or 15 TV credits?
I know it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because it's like you don't want to like pass anything down, but on the other hand, as a creative, you want to do your best work. So it
Yeah.
just depends on what platform you feel the most comfortable. If that
No,
makes
not
sense.
really. It's not. It's not. To me, it's the same thing. The camera's
Yeah,
pointing at me. It's how they edit it. That's the difference.
right. So how did you go from BMX to acting? Tell us a little bit about that. Or obviously, I know you ride your bike a lot, but tell us how did the two interface?
Well, it interfaced in an odd way. I was transitioning outside of BMX, and went back to school, and I was working on my master's in hydrogeology. So I was doing groundwater science studies,
Right,
and I was doing fluvial experimentations at Berkeley while going to SF State. So I was doing a whole nother life. Then I had a motorcycle accident, which tore off my left leg. I tore my pelvis in half, broke 7 vertebrae, collapsed my lungs, tore my bladder in half, broke all my right ribs, concussion, ACL, MCL,
right,
tears in my right leg, and a whole bunch of other problems. And I spent a year and a half recovering from that. And afterwards, I just sort of was questioning, I've only got one life to live, and I understood how fleeting life is. So I was like, I want to do something that I always wanted to do, but didn't quite believe enough either in myself or, that it was a possibility that I could be an actor.
right,
Like, I don't come from actor family. Like, I don't know anyone in the business. I didn't grow up going to plays as a kid.
right,
I don't come from money, right? So I didn't have any like
right,
financial fiduciary support. So it's
right,
just like, well, who's this guy with one leg trying to go to Hollywood to be an actor? Everyone said, man, I think that guy hit his head way harder than we thought he
right.
did.
Yeah. No, but you're doing well. Again, like other people that you and I know, it's all about your personality and how you interact with people. I mean,
Mhm.
you got to have talent, but it's more about the relationships that you build and that people that are senior creatives, they entrust in you that they could get something good out
Yeah,
of it.
it's a horrifying experience to be a producer or writer where you're choosing one of however many actors to perform work you've spent 9 months on. Like, that's a
Yeah,
horrifying choice for,
yeah,
creative side.
yeah,
I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, I do, but it's horrible. It's like the
yeah,
worst.
yeah. So tell me, um, in your immediate environment, when you were going through all this, who gave you the biggest support? Was it family or family and friends? Or how did you, obviously you did well, but how did you, get that support that you needed?
Well, I mean, I try to look back and see where everything came from, where the support came from. And, for me, it's a big part God and my belief systems. And then that was instilled in me by my father, who taught me everything I knew up to, being an adult. Um, and then my father lived a really admirable life. And so that he gave me the great example of being able to try to mimic a portion of what he's done. And that allowed him to have a lot of really good people around him and good family, and I kind of saw where that came from. So
Mhm.
I tried to do the best I could, and the support came subsequently from friends and family members who took care of me in different capacities. One person wasn't there to take care of me or help me through all of the processes. So like
Right.
one person, like my aunt, she started coming to the hospital and would bring like flaxseed oil and being like, you need to take this for your day. Like little things that you wouldn't really, it's like over here. And then someone else would, be like, hey, we got to raise some money for Kurt's bills while he's going to be out for a year and a half. So they made t-shirts at their own t-shirt company. And that's all they did. But it was like all these little pieces adding together that were like
Uh,
very helpful.
uh,
But then, and I think because there were so many people that helped me, part of the reason why I couldn't just say, to hell with it all is I'd be, essentially saying, thanks for all the help, but I don't care. If I gave up. So I felt like trying really hard was sort of my duty, maybe.
Essentially, you wanted to give back to them in for their support in an emotional way so that they feel connected to your progress.
Yeah, like sort of like I didn't want to waste it. They
Yeah.
gave me a inheritance and of will and help and support, and if I just took that and did nothing, that'd be a bad use of all of their time and energy and effort. So
Mhm.
you know
Exactly. So I wanted to ask you, what are what two characters that you played that you really enjoyed, and how did they um, point out um, stories that you felt really proud about? Because I know you were on NCIS New Orleans with our friend Daryl Mitchell, and that
mhm.
was a great episode, and that was great. But tell us about two characters that you're most proud of.
Hmm. Well, I think because they're polar opposites, like from an actor's perspective, not just like a advocate perspective. um the movie The Festival, which is a comedy, I'm the only American in the film, and it's a UK based film about a film festival that goes wrong for the lead male character, loses his girlfriend, and the fun loving, irreverent American comes and steals her away. And I just happen to be missing a leg. They just used it for a joke or two, and then I was a regular character doing a regular comedic role, which was great. And people were blown away, going, "I didn't know you did comedy. That's amazing." And the other character, which is why I like that first character, is my character from a show called Quarry, which was he is a ruthless contract killer, and it's dark and sinister and villainous and duplicitous and absolutely just dark, just very nefarious. And
Right,
to be able to be that dark and then that funny and like happy
right,
go lucky, that juxtaposition is really great. And in
right.
Quarry, I was so dark that when I did my TV show Tell Me a Story on CBS All Access, that one of the directors, his favorite show was Quarry, and he
Oh,
didn't even recognize me from it because I was so different of a person. And then when he
right.
realized it, he was like, you're Suggs. You're a bad man. Like it was so fun. It was those two characters are great. If you haven't
Don't you,
seen Quarry, we only had one season, but it's an amazing show.
yeah. Don't you think that, I mean, just between you and I, don't you feel that as a actor that, you know, has a challenge. I don't call it, I don't know. I don't like the term disability because we are able, but like, everybody has their own challenges. Don't you feel that doing something, a character that is different and that's dark or edgy or breaks the stereotype, don't you find those characters to be the most empowering psychologically as a creative?
I don't know if I find them empowering, but I know the point you're getting at, and I feel like what it is they're more full. They're more full people,
Right,
and instead of, like, for instance, like, a lot of people, like writers, go, "Hey, I want to write a wheelchair user. What do I
right,
do?" And I go, "First of all, a wheelchair is a mode of transportation. It's not a
right,
character trait."
right.
And they go, and you see the light bulbs going off, and then they realize
Yeah,
it. And I go, "Right, if you want to write a guy, write a male character,
right.
and then just write in at the very end, oh, by the way, he uses a wheelchair."
Yeah,
If that's what you did as a writer and a creative, to me, that's going to let you create a full character, write the wheelchair user at the end, and then you can go back and look at how it colors everything in a
yeah,
whole another layer, instead
yeah,
of reducing it to one layer, making it simple, bland, and boring and milk toast. And then
yeah.
what can I do with garbage like that as an actor?
Mhm.
It's the worst ever. I lost my leg. Oh, will you help me, Mr. Able-bodied person? Oh, thanks for saving the day. Come on,
Exactly.
man. Like,
I
come on.
think that
Like,
I,
people
I
people
think
that
that
have a difference like us, like you work twice as hard. You're literally a natural problem solver, and you have to fight against every stigma all the time. So the last thing people with a difference are generally weak, you know?
yeah, I think it's incumbent on people
Hmm.
like you and I and some other people that we respect here in Hollywood with, disabilities for better or for worse. It's our responsibility to like take the edge off of producers or writers or, production heads and say, hey, chill. It's like, we're just human beings that have,
Yeah.
have challenges that we have been taught to overcome, not
Hmm.
overcome, but live with and
Deal with.
excel.
Just be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think once we crack that eggshell in
Yeah.
a company or a studio or the Writers Guild, it changes the landscape.
Yeah.
And I
I think
think
there's a yeah, I think there's a lot to it. I mean, we all live different lives, right? We all have different experiences, and I can't expect you to understand what it's like to be an amputee.
no, no, not at all. But I could assimilate um, the physical difference that makes every day a challenge. And how do you step
Hmm.
up to the plate and just overlook it and go for your goal? I mean, that's why you're
Yeah.
in Vancouver. You're chasing an opportunity that you won for yourself, and you're doing your damn best,
Yeah,
you know?
I think part of it is, like I was saying before my phone rang, sorry. before I was interrupted by the phone, I was saying I can't expect anybody to know what it's like to be an amputee. So I have to be my own advocate. I have to be my own person who's informing other people what it's like to be an amputee, while at the same time having the grace to understand that they can't possibly know.
Right.
You know, like they just can't know. Like I don't know what it's like to grow up black. So
Right.
I have to have a little grace so I can be wrong and learn. Right?
Right.
So I have to give grace for people to be wrong and learn and make mistakes. Now, it
Right.
does get tiring for you to see the same mistake over and over and over and over and
Yeah.
over. However,
Yeah.
it's a new person usually making that same new mistake.
Yeah.
So it's like each time you have to reset your own position and be like, okay, let me go back to the beginning. Let me go back to the beginning and do that with every single person. But at the same time, I'm also a bull in a china shop. I won't take no for an answer. I'll convince you that you're wrong because I'm right, not because I think I am, because I am. And
Right.
if you are really assured of yourself and you've really done the research and the thinking on a project and you actually bring someone a good idea, then they can say yes to it or no to it, but they can't deny it's a good idea.
Exactly. In Hollywood, as you well know, I'm now pitching shows to, executive producers at production companies, because obviously the major studios, it's just so hard to break through that board group. But in the second tier production companies with some major, Oscar winners, they're more open to things now that are cutting edge with regard to societal issues, or people that are self-determined to compete and live with everybody else. And I think that's, I don't know, I don't want to say things and be the black sheep of our community.
No, be the black sheep.
Here in Hollywood. But I just feel like, you and Eileen Grubba and others, it just seems as though we really need to focus on the business side of the business, because if we're not able to communicate with decision makers, we're not going to see a lot of change if we're not able to talk to them at their level, at the board table, and say why this is important as an investment.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people go at the advocacy saying, "Hey, it's good for society if you see people of your own kind on camera." Yeah, but that's like the basic perspective. The results are people who haven't seen themselves on camera are going to become fans. Those people generate income. Income is what you're trying to do as a television or film creator. Therefore, we add value to creating income.
Exactly. It's not, see, this is where I get a little pissed off, is that everybody wants to be an actor, they want to win an award, they want to be famous, they want to do this or that. No, it's about return on investment by these major studios and now cable outlets like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. They want to make money.
Yeah.
And just because we have a disability, or as I like to say, a physical challenge, we're no better than anybody else. We have to work 3 times as hard to make to to tell
Yeah.
producers that this is a market base that the industry is overlooked and continues to overlook as compared to other communities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just find it very stimulating as a creative to be able to talk at that level to make the business case.
Yeah, I think it's exactly true. You know, I mean, that's why I focus so hard on working on the things that I can control. Like, for instance, my Instagram page at Kurt Yeager. See that? I'm gonna get some more fans. I
Tell
work
us,
at like talking to
tell
people,
us
and
more. What other pages? What other?
everything's at Kurt Yeager. Everything's at my name at Kurt Yeager.
All
I
right.
fortunately got in early enough that I was able to do that. But you know, I've got 100,000 followers across my platforms, so it's like I that didn't just happen, right? I work at that part of the business because I
Yeah.
not only know it's valuable, but I actually enjoy talking with a bunch of people from all over the world who encourage me and like my acting and make me
Right.
feel pretty good about myself, and especially in a town that's extremely difficult. But that's a
Right.
business choice, you know, and I write and I produce, and I have a script on the blacklist, and I am pitching television shows with showrunners, and I'm developing things, and so I do a little bit of everything to build up a value to a production when I walk in as an actor. Because if I walk in as an actor and another actor walks in and we both perform the same and they research us, and like I was just on the cover of the Wall Street Journal,
Right.
working on getting in GQ.
Right.
I have 100,000 followers. I have a
Right.
script on the blacklist. I did that. All of a sudden they go, well, they were both good actors, but I believe this one more, not as an actor, but he's a professional. He's going to come in and do the
Exactly.
job. And I need to trust that someone's going to come in and do the job the right way. Because as an actor, you walk on the set, go. You better be damn prepared.
Right.
And if you're
Right.
not, well, then, so part of my decision making process is who's going to come in prepared more than the other person? Who's more professional? If they're only in the acting room is all you see, then you get two things. But casting directors know you, directors know you, writers know you. They see your work, they see all this other stuff, they
Right.
see your professionalism. They're like, look, if you like Kurt, go with Kurt
Yeah.
because he's got the resume.
Yeah. Well, it is. Like I said, you have a better grasp and a deeper portfolio for someone to get to invest
Yeah.
in you, because it's not just about Kurt Yeager or Steve Tingus. It's about how it makes that company or studio
Hmm.
rise above.
Yeah. How does it give them value, whether it's monetary or some other value?
Mhm.
What can you bring to a project? I mean, part of what I'm doing now is just a campaign of letting people know what my resume is and all the people who don't know me. People then they
Right.
find out, wait a minute. Like for instance, right now they're going to go Kurt's in Vancouver, right? And they go, "Oh, well we have 3 productions in Vancouver and if he's already there, then we could go ahead and work on him with something else." And
Yeah.
that's probably going to happen because that's what I'm working on with my agents and
Right.
professional teams. So it's
Right.
more like thinking how to bring value to a production that not only you want to be a part of, but the creative value.
Mhm.
What is the most interesting character you can think of to play using your difference?
Right.
Like how cool. Like it's just
Yeah. It's not really about all the fakery of Hollywood and what people perceive as Hollywood. It's really about developing characters and
Mhm.
projects that are cutting edge.
Yeah.
That really shock and make people think. And when they delve into your role, they overlook the disability and they look at how create, how do you portray this character? And, the biggest thing
Yeah.
as an actor is to blow people away and to blow away about going, oh my God, I never thought in that way. I didn't think about, it's like it demystifies the misperceptions that we are all dealing with now with regard to the interrelations between communities and our shared challenges that unfortunately we're still dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still always be dealing with things because every, 5 years, 10 years, you have another generation of people who don't know. So it's going to be a continuing battle. It's always is. Knowledge is something that is fleeting, right? But in the film business, I mean, like, for instance, one thing that I do to try to be different as an amputee is I try to be as fit and muscular as I possibly can be, because that's the juxtaposition where someone goes amputee, oh, he must be, and they see me and they're like, wow, he's almost 6 foot, he's got big muscles, he's got no fat, he doesn't walk with a limp, he does not remind me of any television character I've ever seen. And they go, Kurt, why are you different than every television character that I've ever seen? I'm like, because all the television characters were written poorly or just one way. There are many ways to be an amputee. Just like there's many ways to be a wheelchair user. There's many ways to be black. There's many ways to be a woman. There's many ways to be everything. Where are the other ways?
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think that's why we're friends. I think, we're open-minded to challenging the misperceptions. And we devote a lot of time to
look
out of the box.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I'm about to name names, but I'm not going to play in that box, because when we're outside the box, depending on your grasp of your life history, when you think of outside the box, more opportunities develop and you're able to educate more communities.
Yep, totally agree.
So I want to ask you, as a seasoned actor that you are, we had the Oscars of So White episode a couple of years back, and you and I know that 20% of America have people with disabilities, and in the industry, as you well know, about 2.5% of the roles are for people with disabilities, but 95% are cast with able-bodied actors, and we only get like 5% of the 100% for the roles that are written for people with various disabilities. What have you done, or what do you perceive the work that we still need to do in the industry to educate and improve the hiring, both in back and in front of the camera?
I mean, that is a gigantic question. And,
I know,
I mean, it's huge because
I know.
casting is one thing, writing is another thing, film production, creative, executives who are in charge of development is a whole nother section. It's a big question. I mean, listen, we can blame casting or we can blame executives or we can blame other people. And I really think it's a little part of everybody. If we start with the easiest one, writers write what they know. If 99.999% of all writers aren't disabled, then you're probably not going to get any disabled characters because they don't know anything about them. And when they do want to write something about a disability or a person with a difference, they're going to write it from an outsider's perspective. So it'll generally be, one-dimensional, to say the best. Sometimes it's not, but very, very rarely is it not one-dimensional. And then that writer has to deliver that content to a showrunner or an executive who then is going to say, no, let's not have that character that way. Let's make it different. So then you have to have an executive at the network level or in production that has either a disability or a family or friend that has a disability, like a first world connection to it, or first like Kevin Bacon connection, whichever you choose to use. And then you get to casting, and casting wants to bring in people with disabilities, but they work for productions just like we do. Like they get hired and they are auditioning for the casting job to producers. So they want to bring people in, and sometimes they aren't really allowed to because they'll get in trouble if they're not bringing in exactly what the producers and writers want. Now, if the casting directors aren't bringing in a lot of people for various reasons to be seen on a regular basis, then actors don't learn one of the two skills you have to have as an actor. One is be a good actor, practice your acting, go to classes, etc. But the other one is how to be a good auditioner. And that is a completely different skill than being a good actor. You go in raw, there's people all around you, whole bunch of noises. Steven, you're up, come in, okay, perform, go. And then, okay, bye, right? And that's it. Oh, what happened? It's way too fast. I don't know. Did I breathe? I don't even know if I breathed, And so if you don't have time auditioning, you don't have the opportunities to audition on a regular basis, how can you ever build that skill set? It's like saying you want to be a pilot and never fly in an airplane. Well, you have to have seat time. If you don't have seat time, then you can never be a pilot. If so, you don't have the audition time, how valuable are you going to be to a production? Like they're not going to see that, right? And so if you're an actor with a difference or disability or whatever you want to call it, and you have one audition every 5 months, right? And an able-bodied actor has auditions every single week, 2 a week, 3 a week, and you guys are going out for the same role. That gap is just ridiculous of skill sets. So you have that problem. And then the big problem I see is that most actors learn their auditioning skills in commercials, and not even theatrical, for film and television. They learn it in commercials, and you go out for commercials often. Well, they don't want to see people with disabilities in commercials for the most part. So the most place that you would cut your teeth in auditioning in the commercial world isn't even open to actors with disabilities in general, because they want a healthy, strapping man to hit and spike a volleyball to show that this medication works. It's like, because that's advertising, so it doesn't sell. But I think that if you had a few network executives at the high levels and they were like, look, we're just going to mandate, we're going to get up to at least 10% of performers with disabilities auditioning, and then performers with disabilities on our show over the next 5 years, period. That's what we're going to do. That would only get us halfway of being even remotely represented, but at least it would mandate the goal, which would open up the pipeline. So, I mean, there's probably 10, 20, maybe 25 actors with disabilities that could hop on and have the resume to hop into, a series regular role. Okay. Even if they hired every single one of them, that would still be well below 10%.
Right.
So I think it's going to take years of that pipeline being open to develop people with not only the skill sets of auditioning and performing, but then the resume that you're going to see and be able to believe in as a producer to put $5 million an episode on someone's shoulders.
Right.
It's not. So I think it's just very complicated, and it's many different ingredients to make and bake this particular cake.
Exactly. Again, you're totally on point with regard to my perception and experience here in the industry the past 10 years. And I mean, that's why you and a few others are so successful, is that you understand the dynamics of a very competitive industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you really need to be commended for, just the way that you perceive and the way that you play the game, for better words, because it is a game. Let's face it, it's a game. And I think you made a very good point, is the actors with disabilities, they need more audition experience to, really get seasoned in how to deliver.
Yeah, it's very complicated. I mean, there's so many nuances to it and everything else, and I want to be commended after I'm like a series lead on a show. And once I get that, I open up the doors for people behind me after I've sold some shows. And I'm literally opening the door and I'm creating the pipeline. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm that guy that's holding the wall open and it's shutting. And I'm like, hey, hurry, get through. And I want to, that's where I want to get to. So I have enough juice to not only create the pipeline, but then create amazing television characters and bring added value to where, okay, that's one of the people that we need to go to when we want a project. When we're looking for something that's really cool and interesting and has a really good understanding of many different facets of life. I think part of it is I'm well traveled. So I've been all over the world. I grew up in really unique situations that are uncommon to someone of my skin color.
Right.
I've lived a lot of different life all over. And I mean, going from no money to some money to lots of money to no money to, like all over, and really knowing, different types of, I tell people I've rubbed elbows with the slickest, richest people in the world. And I've definitely woke up in a gutter or two. And you're like, well, I guess that's everything. So I think that. Go ahead.
Doesn't that mean more to you than a lot of things that a lot of people think are more important? It's those life experiences and people watching you approach your profession and your life. It's the relationships that I've developed here, that
Yeah,
are a lot more rewarding.
100%. And
Yeah,
that's the thing is like, you got to remember, let's take the film business and throw it out the window for a second. If right now your sink started leaking water everywhere and you personally don't know a plumber, you're going to call somebody that you know and ask him for a reference to a plumber that's not going to screw you over.
right,
So you always ask for anybody who has experience with somebody because you don't want to be let down.
right,
And so if people know your work and they know who you are, then it seems logical that they would call you.
right. And I know in my heart, in my experience, that you will be, a regular on TV series. The problem is that most people don't understand is it all happens at the right time and the
Yeah.
right moment. It's really happenstance. And if you have,
I want to be the lead. The lead.
yeah, yeah, sorry. But yeah, you know what I mean? A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be overnight. Bullshit. That's very rare. But as long as you have the talent and are different from everybody else, and they enjoy working with you, or they know the value that you bring, then that door opens up a lot of other doors because you and I know they all talk.
Oh yeah. And a casting director's job is to remember. That's their whole job, is to remember you, what you do, and how you did it. And remember, the casting director is between you and the agent. The casting director deals directly with the creative staff. So if the casting director vouched for you and you got in and you did a good job, they will hear about it.
Yeah,
If you did a bad job, they're gonna hear about it.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I was really fortunate, Kurt. Like a couple of years back, I was like personally called by Christopher Gray and David Lynch to be on the remake of Twin Peaks. And I was like, what? It's like, it was so amazing, because there are a lot of creatives, like Norman Lear and others that are supportive of cross community involvement, creative. So it's like you just have to be patient and train and be different than everybody else, and always offer something in a business minded perspective. And I think the more people understand that, like you do, the greater the window opens. You know. So in closing, I wanted to ask you, you're filming in Vancouver in about 10 days after your quarantine is over. What other projects that you could talk about that you're looking at, or what types of projects are you interested in? Thematically.
Yeah,
Thematically.
I mean, there's specific ones that I'd like to do, shows that are interesting. I'd love to do like superhero characters, just because it seems like what's not popular, but bring something new to that genre. Um, Thematically, I really, really want to see and be a part of a show that I think deals with more of a nuanced version of what's going on in the police departments and Black Lives Matter. I want to see a more grounded show about that kind of content. Would love to be a part of it. And I'm developing a couple of shows right now that are pretty interesting. One's about my life as a professional BMXer. I'm not going to play the character because I'm too old. But you know, there's another one about a contract killer that's in a different kind of a genre than the other one. I think thematically, what I'd love to see for myself is a better telling of a male character, and instead of taking like alpha male type character traits and bashing them on their head and throwing out the baby with the bathwater, being like, here are good alpha male character traits, and then getting rid of toxic masculinity at the same time. Like I would love to see a full ranged character like that. I haven't seen it yet, really. I mean, there's that show, what is it? Kingdom? Is that what it is? The MMA
Right.
fighters. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The acting is phenomenal, but I like that it's like males struggling with how far to go and how far not to go. One character is more empathetic than not, but does that get him into trouble? Another one's more broken, and that actually makes the woman attracted to him. You know what I mean? It's a very fun show, and I like that. I would love to be in that world, playing that those kind of characters, where it's exploring that and trying to figure it out. I don't think it's just something I want to do. I think it'd be good for society, but I think because it would be interesting, it would be a moneymaker, and it just explore some topics that are not taboo, but when the pendulum swings one direction, it's like, okay, what's back over here, and I want to see that. That's what I would do. But specific projects, anything for the next 5 months in Vancouver. Anybody out here? I'd do another show out here. I've filmed 2 shows in New York at the same time, so I can film 2 or 3 shows out here at the same time. It's I'm pretty good with memorization.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know what? I really commend you on the way that you approach the industry, and that's why you're successful, because people want to work with you, because you demystify a lot of misperceptions about the ability of all people, and I'm kind of honored to be a friend and support you in your work. I mean, it's
Likewise.
yeah. So, how long will you be on that project?
Probably 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe longer, depending on how shooting goes. But 4 months, so
Wow.
yeah.
I hope they pay you well.
They're doing okay.
That's good.
Now the truth comes out. And then you see like someone's giving me a pedicure, and I'm like, oh, this is so hard.
Anything you want to tell our viewers in closing about, just some personal insights about how to, do better?
Well, I think the easiest way to do better is anticipate failure and enjoy it. Just go out and fail, make mistakes. Who gives a shit? Honestly, just what's the
Right,
difference? Like you go out and fail, fail, fail. It's the only way you can learn anything. If you don't
right,
ever make a mistake, all you ever do is repeat the things that are already in here.
right,
So you have to make mistakes, and a baby falls 10,000 times before it learns to walk well.
right,
Well, then why is that okay for a baby just in the terms of walking and nothing else?
right.
So go out, fail, put your foot in your mouth, who cares, and learn from those mistakes and move forward. I think that's the biggest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Effort, try, go out and like, if you said, Kurt, could you sing? I'd be like, oh, like how? And then you'd be like on camera right now, go. I'd be like, I'll try. And then, you'll hear in the distance dogs howling. Oh, and it'll be bad. And then I'll go, man, that was embarrassing. Maybe I should go get a singing coach. Okay, now I go get a singing coach and work on it and do it again and again and again and again until now that is better. But by failing, it revealed what wasn't practiced.
Right.
So then go learn something. Like, who cares?
Right.
Like, if you said, "Can you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Un poquito," and you'd be like, "Oh, I could learn more Spanish so I could be, Caucasian actor who could speak Spanish."
Right.
Well, okay, well then that's a new thing to do. So I think just going out and trying new things, especially in things you're not good at. I think those are the things you should definitely do more things in.
Exactly. Well, you know what, Kurt? I want to thank you for being our guest today. It really means a lot to me. And again, I support you all the way and always have. And I want to thank you for your insights on the industry, where we are, and what you recommend people focus on. Because again, it's important not only for actors, but for people in general. Because we all want to do well, and we all want to give back in some way. And I think your words really were awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for your support and what you do and the show that you've created and all the meetings and struggles and fighting that you're doing. Like Eileen and everybody else, we're all doing it together, and hopefully we lift everybody up a little bit and we can get some breathing room together. And thanks for having this and having an open forum. I love it.
Thank you, Kurt. Have a great 4 months of shooting.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
All right.